Hello and welcome. Now the topic today, or the big question on the table, is the District Assembly Common Fund working for persons with disability? Now 2% of the District Assembly Common Fund is meant to be used to support the income generating activity of individual persons with disability as a means of economic empowerment. It also provides educational support for children, students and trainees with disability. Again, it finances their legal and social voice, undertaking awareness, raising and sensitization on the disability issues. Of course, it also supports persons with disability so that they can have access to technical aid and other assistant devices and equipment. This is all in accordance with Article 41 of the Disability Act, mandated by the National Council on Persons with Disability. That sounds good on paper, but is it working in reality? Or is it just money being misapplied, delayed, siphoned, or flatly, should I say, stolen? That's what we are going to find out. My name is Nana Sakwao, and this is PM Express. When I come back, I'll introduce my guest. A subject very dear to my heart, and I'm sure Sen Ghana knows that this subject is dear to my heart. So anytime they want to come on my show, they say, don't worry, that's Nana. Let's just go and talk about people with disability, because he knows he's going to jump. As soon as you press his button, he's going to jump to it. And it's indeed a subject dear to my heart. I am so frustrated about it, and I go on and on and on that, you know, why in this day and age, 2014, if I check my calendar, we still can't understand that a person with disability is purely and simply that. Doesn't need your pity or anything, just simple understanding. Give me access, I'll come and do my own work. Don't feel sorry for me, don't have any pity on me. I don't need your pity or your sorries. Why are we still talking about this? But then it goes further. You know, the Constitution, you know, goes further to say, look, for every money that you give to every district, 2% of it should go to people with disability or people living with disability, so that they can go about their daily lives and have the economics life. You know, what is so difficult about it that we can't seem to get? And with that, with me in the studio from my extreme left is Adamu Monique Mukaila. Yeah, Mukala, who's the program officer for Upper West Region, Sen Ghana. He's been on the show before, is my brother. And then to my immediate left is my newfound brother, Isaac Tugan, who's the National Advocacy Officer, Ghana Federation for the Disabled. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, isn't it, Isaac, let me start with you. Isn't it frustrating that I would have you here to talk about the same issue, that's something that is clearly mandated, you know, legislated, that listen, 2% of the funds that go to every district should be given to persons with disability so that they can go about their daily lives. And that simple thing, is it not? Where do you get the energy to even carry on fighting?
Thank you very much. And I thank the listeners to this program. You are right. But we are in human society. We only go and come back to correct the errors. I think the fund, since its inception in 2005, had had a lot of problems. From 2005 to somewhere around 2010, the MFDs were not, some were not disbursing the fund to persons with disability. Others were disbursing less than 2%. Others also disburses are loans, when in fact it was a grant. So problem came out with the complaint. The Ghana Federation of the Disabled decided to find out what was the cause. And our finding was that the MFDA said there were no guidelines as to how the funds should be managed, disbursed, utilized, and accounted for.
Wow.
So
everybody was just doing their own rules.
And as a result of that, we decided to work together with the National Council of Persons with Disability to develop guidelines. And the guidelines spell out clearly what the fund is, how it should be managed, how it should be disbursed, and how it should be accounted for. In that guideline, there was a need for it to have a separate account that will, the fund will be launching for disbursement to persons with disability. There was also a need to form what we call district fund management committees. And the members of the committee comprise the coordinating director, and then the Department of Social Welfare, a representative on the from the National Council of Persons with Disability, and one rep from Ghana Federation of the Disabled. Now, there was also an option for the Fund Management Committee to co-opt a technical person whenever the need arises. Let's say if they were vetting an application which had to, which bordered on technical issues like agriculture or some educational issue, they could co-opt an expert to come and provide expert advice. But that person is not a permanent member of the committee. Now, this being done, the guidelines were launched in 2010. And since then, there had been some improvement. But there were still a problem. One, the Fund Management Committee did not have access, majority of them do not have access to bank statement as to how much has come in, how much has been disbursed, and how much is left. It's difficult to get such information. But it is just worrying that you are managing a fund that you do not know what has gone in, what has come out, what is left. That's one of the issues.
So how do you manage it?
That is the question.
So I mean, how do you disburse another check or ask for another money? I mean,
and that is why the problem are still coming up. Now, another issue was though the fund is ring fence, some MMDAs are still borrowing the fund.
To do what?
They borrow it and use it for purposes that we cannot tell. Others have admitted they borrowed and paid back, but we didn't see the repayment. We did not have access to that, so we did not see the repayment. Others too are borrowed and they are yet to pay back. Another issue that came out was there was interference. The fund is set aside and ring fence, but there were still some authorities interfering with the disbursement of the fund. There are MFDs where they just take the fund and call persons with disability and share the thing at flat rate to them. And that is not, the fund is not meant for sharing. The fund is meant to support persons with disability in 4 major areas. One is to support educational and other vocational training. Another one is to support them to acquire assistive devices. And then they also support them in organizational development, how to create awareness about disability issues and other things, and also to sort of build up their organization within the districts. And then the other one was income generating activities. So the Fund Management Committee, their major function is to receive the appropriation from persons with disability, living within the MMDA, the districts. Persons with disability living in other districts cannot cross to access fund in another district. It's not allowed. Now they vet the application and to see. There are some, they may even say, I need 1,000 Ghana cedi for ABCD. But after vetting the application, they will realize that they need more than that. They can scale it up. Others who may ask for more, but after vetting their application, they realize that they do not actually need that. Then they will scale it down and give disburse the money to them and monitor the utilization of the fund. If you say you want to do carry out income generating activity, the Fund Management Committee must monitor to see what you are doing with the fund. Because it's to support you and not to, it's not pocket money. So now, and they are supposed to provide quarterly report on their monitoring activity. These they do not do. And another issue is when a list is approved and get to the authorities, the complaint that come out is that they approve, maybe they approve 80 people. And then at the end of the day, the list will come, those who will receive the fund will be more than 180. So where from the other names? Some places that we've gone to, they said, DCE said we should add this. DCE said we should add this name. And we now ask ourselves, DCE has no hand in the management of the fund. How comes that DCE is now adding names? The names that he's adding, who are they? Are they persons with disabilities?
Because you should be registered as an association or something.
Yes, even if they are not registered there, but we should know who they are. You understand? So these are some of the problems. And at times you see they call, when they are disbursing the money, they call the people and call media. Come, something that belongs to people. And now you want to give to the person. You now need media and to media
like
coverage. And that is, I think, some political games. Because other people also come to the assembly to claim money, contractors and other things. Do you call the media? We don't see that. But how come that money that should go to person with disability, you are calling media on this thing? And
it's your money anyway.
It's our
legally,
money.
you know.
So the lack of monitoring of the utilization of the fund is a very disturbing issue.
Let me bring my brother Adamu. Adamu, you see, there was me thinking, you know, it's about time. I mean, this fund was set up in 2005, so by now we should be moving from 2% to maybe 3.5 or even maybe 4%. But you dare not even go and ask.
Yeah, even the 2% is a problem. Even as at now, they have not received the third quarter of 2013. Even though the MMDAs have received theirs, the PWDs have not received theirs.
So
even the 2%.
So you can't even go and ask for more. I mean,
exactly.
You know,
if you are not even getting the 2%,
how do you go and ask for more?
The former president, Atamels, promised to increase it to 3%. Yeah, but it was just on paper.
It was in a sessional address. And even the current president, we met the president last year, the disability movement, in 2013. And he told us at the Flagstaff House that government had increased it from 2% to 2.5%. But at the time he made the statement, the appropriation bill was already passed in Parliament. You understand? And all budgetary allocation had been approved. So there was no way. So we were thinking that maybe this year they will start with the 2.5%. But now here we are, we still have arrears of 2013, third and fourth quarter. This year has not even started at all. So
this
we don't
year,
know.
This is the second quarter this year?
Yeah.
This is the third quarter.
This is the third quarter.
Yes.
And nothing has come
They've
yet.
not even received the last quarter of 2013 to talk about first quarter 2013.
And considering, I mean, with all the allocations, you think this is the smallest one. So even if they couldn't make any payment at all, considering that, you know, you need that for your access and everything, you know, you would have been prioritized.
Yes.
And that's what brings me to the question that, I mean, if in 2014, the society, the country, we can't reason like that, then Adamu, what else is left?
That is a serious issue. Like you were just saying, if there's even no money for disbursement, you've been able to raise money and give to the assemblies. But the thing is that 2% of whatever is due to a district. So how come that the assembly have received theirs and yet the PWDs, there's no money for them to pay? That is the question we keep on. That means that as a nation, we are not even serious. These are the people who depend on the money for their education. Some even depend on the money to feed. Okay? And yet, we manage to give the assembly and let them out. Theirs is just 2%. So there's a need for us to really look at the issue of the common fund.
Adamu, I'll stay with you.
I would think that at least government can do something about it. Even if the revenue generation is not too much, government can go into some negotiation with banks so that at the end of every quarter, money is just sent to the accounts. When he gets the money, he pays back to the banks, and then the bank can charge them for some interest to be able to deal with some of these issues.
My argument is, if it's 2%, then clearly you can short any district by 2% and say, look, I mean, if I have to pay you 100 cedis,
yes,
therefore 2 cedis of the 100 cedis go to the common fund. Even if I have 50 cedis,
yes,
I can give you 48,
yes,
put 2%, 2 cedis here and say, look, I'll bring you your balance later.
yes.
Because the 2% element doesn't make it so huge.
Yes.
But see, I put myself and civil society, we don't jump and fight for our brothers, within this. We don't fight enough.
Yeah. I quite agree.
Because we can't leave all the fight for Isaac
yes,
to champion.
yes.
So you'd expect, the likes of you and I to be hitting the road, with red armbands, demanding that, listen, it's not fair.
Yes. Well,
we don't.
We are doing it. It's just that it has not been brought to the notice of most of the media houses so that they can also publish. Like he's saying, when we launched the report in May this year, we engaged some districts at the district level with our findings, and then we seek some commitment from them to ensure that the PWDs are given the needed funds to be able to carry out the activities. Just today too, we had a national dialogue, because there are some issues that we have to deal with at the district level, but there are others, they are at the national level. So today, we organized a national dialogue. We brought all the key stakeholders, Ministry of Local Government, the PWD Association, the National Council for Persons with Disability, and other civil society, just to see how best we can put our heads together to ensure that some of these issues are nipped on the back. There are a lot of issues that we discussed today. He even mentioned borrowing from the common fund, which has become a serious issue, because if the money is not enough, and even the little that you put there, you turn and borrow that money, they just take it. It's not borrowing because they don't pay back. Then that becomes a very serious issue. There are issues even with the guidelines that we also have to look at. How come that you are giving monies to persons with disability and they are not signatories to their own accounts?
I was going to ask.
Yeah. How come that the law?
If they give, there should be somebody representing you who signs in and out this money.
Yeah, in the Fund Management Committee, they have a rep there. But that rep is not a signatory to that account. The signatory still remains the coordinating director and the district finance officer. That is not even the issue. The issue is that if they are giving statement every month, then they will know how much is transferred and how much is spent. But even then, that statement is not given to the Fund Management Committee.
And what's the reason?
Well, just because maybe they borrow from the funds. If I give you, then you know how much is in my fund. If I come and instruct you, I can question you. So in order to keep them silent, then you don't know what is in the accounts. It's during sittings that you ask, oh, how much do we have? Then the coordinating director can write something small on the paper and tell you that this is what you have in accounts. So go and disperse it.
Wow. Isaac,
the signatory issue, earlier on, we raised the issue and we're told that the fund remained government fund. And once we are not working at the assembly, we could not sign on those accounts. And the reason being that any query on the account, if we sign, it means that query will be directed to us to answer. And we do understand that one. And we are not even fighting to be signatory to the account. What we want is information on the account should be made available to the fund management committees, where our rep will also get a copy and bring it to the members and we'll look at it. But here is the case, information, most of the districts that we've gone to, I was part of the team that have gone to some of the districts. They said they don't know. When we meet the fund management committee, we wanted to find out from them, do you know how much has come for this A, B, C, D quarter? They said they don't know. Have you ever seen the bank statement? No. Why? They ask and they don't give them. And we ask, how do you disperse them? They said when they ask, they just write something on paper for them or give them verbal information.
Is there any district that's been exemplary where they provide a statement? Is there any district that you might know of?
No, for now I don't know. Most of the districts are like that. They don't provide any formal notification about the amount they have transferred.
Not even a photocopy?
Even a photocopy. Even under normal circumstances, if you disperse funds to PWDs for accountability's sake. You can put the list on the notice board for people to know who are actually benefiting. So if you go through the name and somebody who is not a PWD, you can challenge. But these things are kept secret. They are supposed to be submitting reports to the NCPW and National Council for Persons with Disability, and even the Disability Association. These things are not done. And even the PWD's rep on the committee, some of them work for themselves and not the interest of the GFD. And that is surprising. Some connive with assemblymen to withdraw monies for other purposes.
I mean, I just want to find out, I mean, how low do you get to, take 2% of money that's meant for your brothers and sisters, who live with, a disability one way or the other? I mean, who does that? Or maybe I'm too naive. Maybe I'm too naive.
For rest, the major concern, actually, we agreed and we found out and we met some of them. We caught some of them. I think in the northern side, one of the districts in the north, what happened was when the PWD were not getting access information on the thing, they went through the back door. They got somebody a friend in the bank. And they managed to get the bank statement. And when they got the bank statement, they realized that the money had been withdrawn, and they kept on telling them that the money had not yet come.
But meanwhile, the money had been withdrawn.
Withdrawn. So they used that one to confront them, and they agreed that they borrowed, but they will pay back. You see, that is the thing. But for me, I think the major issue we need to actually look at is what the money is being used for.
And was there any consequence?
They only agreed that they will pay back.
I'm going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll look at how we can improve monitoring, or how monitoring is being done. But that's the sad story of PWD. Stay tuned.
This is the complementary roles of civil society organizations in governance, and we applaud the contribution of SEND in this direction. We would continue to provide the enabling environment for civil society organizations' engagement with government at all levels. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to assure you that we, as a government, will continue to implement policies and programs that are geared towards improving the quality of lives of Ghanaians, especially the poor and vulnerable in the society. In doing so, government's commitment to deepen fiscal decentralization is critical. The District Assembly's Common Fund, created under Article 252 of the 1992 Constitution to cater for the development needs of the District Assemblies in Ghana, contributes to this factor. Since this intervention has been the main source of funds for MMDAs to implement and develop their plans in their respective districts. Thus, it goes without saying that the timely disbursement of money from the fund to district assemblies is an issue that is really important to government, since this will definitely deepen decentralization in Ghana and empower local structures to cater for their development needs. In addition, the Act mandates government, and for that matter, district assemblies, to set aside 2% of the district assembly's common fund for persons with disabilities. As part of this initiative, guidelines have been developed by various stakeholders in 2007 for disbursement and management of the 2% of the fund. These have had significant impact on the lives of persons with disability who hitherto could not access the fund. They have used this fund to cater for their health, education needs, as well as vocational skills training. Mr. Chairman, these achievements cannot be maintained without proper monitoring on how the funds are managed and disbursed to people with disabilities by district assemblies, as well as the Disability Fund Management Committees, according to the guidelines. It is in this light that I commend Send Ghana for conducting a study in 15 districts regarding the implementation of the disbursement and management of the fund towards persons with disability in the 2014 report. Mr. Chairman, I am happy to note that in all the districts studied, there was the existence of the Disability Fund Management Committees. However, its management and composition from district to district desires to be addressed and harmonized. In 40% of the districts surveyed, there were no representatives by the National Council for Disabled Persons on the district committees. This, we all know, has an adverse effect of addressing the particular needs of disabled persons, since the absence of these representatives affects the overall monitoring and evaluation of the program. These issues, among others, I have been informed, would be presented by Send Ghana for our discussions as stakeholders. I must say that government is prepared and willing to implement the decisions that would emerge from this meeting to improve the lives of persons with disability and, for that matter, all Ghanaians. Let me also emphasize at this point that government attaches great importance to the Disability Act, and the ministry will remain committed to the implementation of the Act, as well as all measures put in place to empower persons with disability in Ghana. Government recognizes the complementary roles of civil society organizations.
Okay, so that was a forum held today, and I like that. The government is very committed. You know, you have to fit it in the statement. You just have to write that part in the statement if you need to keep your job. But, you have to write that part in the statement. But 40% of the district have no reps.
Now, even then, even the 60% that we claim that are there are people who are not even known by the NCWD at the national. They are just national service personnel who sometimes act as that. If you take the NCPWD, National Council for Persons with Disability, it only exists in Greater Accra region. Once you move out of Greater Accra, you don't have any rep in the but they are government representatives at the district level on PWD issues. But here is the case that we don't even have them. And you see,
let me be naive here before you continue. And let's say if I was a DC in this district, am I not concerned and worried that, listen, there are few people who happen to be in my districts who are PWD, I want to help them with their little money. Are they not, isn't there no empathy there?
No, some of them generally want to help, some of them, but most, they use it for political reasons. Like he's saying, for instance, what is the essence? When you are giving somebody's money, you bring cameramen for them to know that you are giving the PWDs money. And for all you know, it's a flat rate that they are giving to all of them. Sometimes 500, 100. But the money is not meant for that. See, before you can access the money for any income generating activity, you should have a proposal, a well-developed proposal for you to be able to access the money. It's for you, it's for the PWDs to generate some level of income and to take them out of poverty. But if you keep on giving them something small, they end up consuming that money, and every day they will be following you for the same money. We all agree that the 2% is not enough. But how many of the PWDs can we take out of poverty in a quarter? If it's not enough, can we use the first quarter or the second quarter to take 10 PWDs out of that particular situation in which they are, so that we give them something to do, so that they will not even come back for the money in future, because they can even work and use that money to employ other PWDs in the districts. So that is the question that we keep on asking the farm management with. Why should you give them a flat rate? After all,
they are all not going to do the same business.
Yes, they are not going to do the same business.
You wanted to comment to that?
Yeah, you see, as I've always said, the important part of the function of the Fund Management Committee is to assessment of the proposal. Now, after doing that, you need to really make sure that the money is used for what it is required. The money is not meant for sharing, but to support them. Therefore, if somebody applies that he wants to do agriculture, to go into a farming, and this is the farming season, the rainy season, and so another person apply for maybe something else, you will weigh the two applications and see, this is farming season, let us support the farmer. And the other application can be supported later. But somebody apply for farming and you wait. When it is dry season, you give the money to the person. What will happen to that man? Some money were given on the eve of Christmas. They share them on the eve of Christmas. And they squander the money.
That's dangerous money.
In one of the districts, what they did was they decided that they were going to set up a project for the person with disability. And they decided that they would buy a bus to operate, generate income for them. The money that they collected, all the various quarters money they collected that one, to go and buy a U-turn bus, the money was not enough. So they were still owing the seller. Now, all the work the bus was doing was going to pay, the income generator was being used to pay the remaining money, cost of the bus. Now, as the money was, the transfer were no longer coming, and they were not getting enough money to pay, the owner of the bus threatened to seize the bus. And these are some of the abuses of the fund. But it is not their duty to go and set up project for a person with disability. It is not their duty. There are instances where they have decided that they themselves will go and buy fridges and other things for a person with disability. They bought the thing, they were not working. So they say, okay, you bought it, take it and give us back our money. And it became another problem. These are things that they should not meddle themselves with. They leave them to do their thing. What we want to empower persons with disability to do things for themselves. You support them. I mean, provide them the necessary advice and guidance. But don't go and do the thing yourself for them. You create some kind of dependency on for them. They want to be supported to work themselves. And that is what we want. With regard to this very fund, I think this is the best intervention that Ghana has ever had, if it is properly managed. It can really take a lot of persons with disability out of poverty. But it is the management. The Fund Management Committee had up to 5% as certain allowance for certain allowances and for monitoring. Why wouldn't they monitor? The National Council of Persons with Disability, I will talk about that, it hasn't got read. The reason is that the council, since it was established in 2009, the council has not been resourced. So because it has not been resourced, it is not able to perform in mandatory function. It has not got districts and regional branches. No. Even as we speak today, the staff at the council, national secretary, are not up to 5. They are not up to 5. National secretary, they are not up to 5. So now, how will they also work effectively with regard to this very fund? But what I know is that the Fund Management Committee can go ahead to monitor without the National Council of Persons with Disability. The only thing that they should do what they are supposed to do. Everything is stated very clear in the guidelines. And I don't see the reason why today we'll still be talking about this very issue. And it is not even a policy. We won. The Federation has been going around we'll be running a project called Star Ghana Project, a supported project. What we want is, we want to make sure, increase the effectiveness of the fund in some project districts. We meet the fund management committee, find out the problem they have, and we'll bring some of the authority together and the person with disability, and we'll everybody together, and we'll discuss the issue. These are the problems that are, is that true or it is not so? If it is true, what are we going to do about it? Why are there lapses in compliance with the guidelines? Then we also look at the national scale, small scale industrial water.
MBSS.
Yes. We've also met them and we're saying that, look, provide some training for a person with disability before they even get the fund. If you provide some business training, management training, and some kind of expert advice for them before the fund is disbursed to them, it will help them to go into the area that they have their competencies. Another thing we are looking at is the kind of application that they use to access the funding. Others, it became something like a business for other people. If somebody cannot see, you write the application and charge the person. Oh. So what we have done is that all the districts we've gone to, we've discussed the issue together, and we'll come out with a template that we want it to be universal. We've discussed all the problems that we collated. We use those ones to help us develop that template so that we'll make the template available for all the districts. You just take it and complete, fill it. Are you applying under accessible devices you indicate, or education, or under the distance, the income generating activity, you indicate all these things, and all the relevant information you provide. This is one way we are working towards improving the application of the guidelines.
So do you have any guru boys in the charging?
No. You see, the surprising thing is that it's their own members, those who can write, who do this thing and charge them.
And we do not blame only the district assembly. We also blame the person with disability.
I was going to come to that
because
misuse.
Yes, because we have not found much. Should I say, we have not seen many success stories. There are success stories, and those success stories are really good success stories. Even at Amasama here, somebody was able to get the money, about 1,500. But today he has about 3 shops, and a value at almost about 90,000.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
These are the kind of success stories that we want.
We don't hear those stories.
Yes. So we've even planned, we'll do documentary on that very one. We want to get the success stories so that we can stand on those success stories and advocate for the legislation of the fund. Because as we speak today, it is still a policy. Yeah. It is not a legislation. So any government at all can come and say, well, I don't like this policy, and it can go. But I think it is a good intervention. That's the best intervention so far. We only need to manage it effectively and efficiently.
But with PWDs themselves, how are we monitoring to make sure that people don't, use the fund, illegally or...
Yeah, like he's saying, if you take the PWDs and you take the guideline, it said the money should be given to all PW, especially those in the informal sector. But the formal, there are a lot of PWDs who are teachers, who are destined, and they are rather applying. And because they can put pressure on the farm management committee. So if you take the beneficiary, about almost 60% of them are people that under normal circumstances should not go in for that fund.
Wow.
So even within themselves, they need to check themselves very well. Because like if somebody is a secondary school teacher, he doesn't need that fund. If somebody is working with the district assembly, he doesn't need that fund. There are people who are sitting on the streets. These are the very people who need the fund. But this is what we are also confronted with. So that is why we are also telling the PWD that if they mismanage or misuse the fund, and government decides to take it away from them, they shouldn't blame the government.
So who's triggered who? Is it that PWDs have seen that, well, look, these guys in the office are at it, so let's do something? Or are the guys in the office thinking...
The point is that, as he said, the farm management committee is supposed to do some level of education for the PW to understand the utilization of the fund, how the fund is supposed to be utilized. This they are not doing. After disbursing the fund, they are supposed to do a follow-up to see what the PWDs are using the money for. That is also not done. Then it means that if I take the money and nobody is monitoring me, I'll decide to use whatever I want to use the money for. So that is the main issue. We need to resource the fund management committee for them not only to vet and approve, but also do a lot of monitoring and sensitization for people. Look, some of the assembly that the DCE do not even understand the guidelines. They don't know what is in the guidelines. It's our responsibility to educate them to understand why they should make that money available for persons with disability. So education should be the key here. Both the implementers as well as the beneficiary should have that kind of education.
The other thing, Adamo, is, are you taking this battle to kindergarten? Because you see, we are brought up to exclude, persons with disability. We brought up like, oh, don't play with her because she can't hear. Oh, don't play with him because he can't see. And so we've grown up with that segregation. And till this date, I keep saying that even Parliament don't have a proper disabled access. But that's Parliament.
No, even look at our district chief executives and our ministers. If you take the coordinating council, the last floor, that is where they are normally. If a PWD wants to visit a minister, how can he get up there? Their conference centers are up there. Then you ask yourself, how can they get there? I would suggest that if you go to the regional offices, the ground floor should be where the minister should be, so that PWD can have access.
Let me let PWDs persons with disability. Someone's whispering public work department. No, persons with disability. Yeah.
So we need to start looking at those things and try to integrate them. Like you're saying, they are more than 5% of our population, and we, as a nation,
we are between 15 to 20.
Look, so as a nation,
15 to 20.
Yes.
Well, you can't ignore that chunk.
Yes, that is the point. We can't develop as a nation without taking care of our own people. About 15% of our population are just ignored. We need to do something.
So again, my question is, have we taken this fight to the school? Because maybe as for this age, we are hopeless. And that our children coming may, see and rethink and reorient themselves or orient themselves differently than us. So while we are battling and pulling here and holding here, we can have a fresh generation who think differently. Are we taking the battle down there?
For now, no.
The battle on this very issue.
No, on this very issue. No, not necessarily on the 2%. You see, this whole
issues of persons with disability.
Yes, because this whole 2% is because the people who are disbursing it treat persons with disability as second-class citizens. They don't think they are important. That's why the government would even give the whole district money and say, I haven't got enough, so I can't give you the 2%. Wait. It's because of our attitude. But I think if we were educated differently, you then come to understand that, listen, he needs extra help more than you should. That's all. He doesn't need sympathy.
You say that very issue, we have been working on it, even with the various ministries, departments, and other things, right from the local level. We have had to meet some of the traditional authorities to speak on the issue. Inimical customary practices that sort of perpetuate discrimination against persons with disability.
Yeah, that's my area. So.
One, if you recall, even when we got Dr. Dana nominated, a traditional, the late Siakwa or the chief, who should know better, should be the custodian of the behavior of people, came to oppose Dr. Dana's nomination. Somebody who had been working with the chieftaincy, chieftaincy for 17 good years, and rose to the level of director of research. But you see the attitude of a whole chief.
Yes.
Now, we have been sensitizing the general public in forums and anytime possible with the media that we need to see disability as a human challenge. It's a human rights issue.
As a hold it there, you see, as for the public, I have very little hope in our generation, our age group, I have very little hope in us. I think we have all failed. What I was hoping that kindergarten and class 1, they are the fresh ones who could maybe think better than what we're doing. But I'll take a break and then I'll take a break and then I'll let you react on it. So stay tuned. The very sensitive subject, they know that they'll press my buttons, and indeed they have pressed my buttons, because as I always say, for our generation we have completely failed, and that maybe we need to target the very, very young ones, to give them a due form of education, so that when they grow up, the question won't be 2% of common fund, because we would understand that people or persons with disability should come to mainstream school and get the same opportunities as anybody else. And I think you wanted to make a submission before the break came in, but my argument was that if we don't teach our children in class 1 and class 2 to understand that it's equal opportunity, then they will also grow and come and sit on PM Express in 40 years' time, and probably still be battling at, by that time they would have gotten to 3%.
Yeah, as I was trying to make that submission, I wanted to say that the disability movement is working seriously to get disability issue mainstream in our school curricula, so that children right from the beginning will learn about disability issue. It will not be a new area to them when they grow up. It is when you have information on something that you understand. But if you do not have information on it, it's very difficult for you to understand. It looks very gray. It becomes a gray area for you at any point in time. Besides that, we also want to make sure that as of today, as you said, we've already failed. But it is not too bad. We can still work on certain things. For example, we are taking the issue of disability to the local level, local governor level. The Federation is working on a project, and the project is to increase participation of persons with disability in local governance. If we, because of the decentralization policy, most of the developmental issues and decisions are taken at the local level. So if persons with disability are participating in them, they will be able to get disability issue mainstream there, right from there to the national level. That's what happens in certain countries. They have representation of disability from the local community level up to the district, regional, and national level. The mistake we are making in Ghana is that we think that disability issue can be assigned to a particular ministry. It is not so. There are human rights issues and must be mainstream in all the ministries, mainstream in all programs at all levels.
Let me digress and then let you continue. These 200 schools that the government has promised and everything, have they got disabled access? Have you been?
Yeah, I'm
we'll come into that. Okay.
So we have already, when the issue started, we wrote to the three wise men who designed it. You understand? Saying that we wanted to see the plan to make sure that they have accessibility component in them. And they redirected it to the ministry, that we should contact the ministries. They are GES. They provide some of these things. GES has also spoken, saying that it is GET fund. And we are still following this thing. We do not want to wait till the thing is developed.
So up to now, nobody can tell you if it's got disabled access?
Nobody, because we are using the experience from AMA. You know, when AMA was implementing the Millennium Development Goal 2 by building what they call the Millennium School, when you see them, all of them, none has accessibility.
Wow. Wow.
None has accessibility.
Wow.
They are storage building without ramps. And they are built, the building was supervised by somebody, the mayor, who has stayed in other cultures before America. That is where I only have my regret. The mayor has stayed in America before. He has seen the environment there. And coming back to supervise a different thing in his own country, it is a problem. So we are not leaving any stone unturned until we get these 200 schools to have disability component in it.
Wow.
You see the N1 road, We did accessibility audit, and we warned them they didn't mind us, and they went ahead to complete the road without providing a ramp for a person with disability to cross. The case is in court now. The Federation versus the state. It's in court now. So if you go and see the new Foreign Affairs Ministry, you see that no person with disability can enter the reception. And all these bills were started when the act has already come into effect.
What a shame.
It then means that
What a
if the
shame.
government institutions themselves are violating the act, the provision of the act, where will they have the moral justification to compel the private sector to comply with the provision of the act? And that is where we fail. And we are, again, warning them, educating the general public about the expiration of the, what they call the transitional provision. That's Section 60 of the Person with Disability Act. It gives a 10-year grace period for buildings that existed before the act came into effect to modify themselves and make themselves available and accessible for use by a person with disability. We are in the 8th year. Nothing has happened. They are still standing out. The ministry, the government department. Now, if nothing has happened in 8 years, will everything happen in 2 years? That is remaining. And that is where we are going to actually have, maybe the courts in Ghana will have nothing to do than to be dealing with disability issues every day. If the 10-year moratorium comes to an end and nothing happened. We think there should be some kind of government commitment towards the issue of person with disability. When we look at it, with Parliament, in Uganda, in South Africa, they use sign language in Parliament. So the deaf can go and listen to parliamentary deliberation. Because in Ghana here, anybody can go to Parliament House and listen to Parliament. Here we don't have it. Even when they are showing on TV, they cannot follow. But this is a natural language of a people. Do we need to wait for them to even tell us?
Beg for it. Gentlemen, that's all my time will allow me, but thank you very much, very much. Let me end by saying, shame on us. I mean, shame on us. It's 2014, and indeed, if we have to beg, plead, and ask institutions like the Foreign Affairs Ministries to say, put a little ramp just in case somebody is coming and might need to come up the ramp, shame on us. But thank you very much, and I'm sure this deliberation will carry on, and maybe the able bodies should join arms with persons with disability, iron red bands, and hit the road, and until the governments do what they are supposed to do. Tomorrow, between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. on That's My Opinion, tune in and listen to what controversy I'll put on so you can join.
I wish I could just get a second to make an
I'll
appeal.
give you a second. I'll give you a second.
An appeal.
Yes, I'll give you a second.
I will appeal to all the media houses, TV, radio station, involve person with disability in your morning show, your discussion. You understand what? All the issues you discuss affect us. If it is about water, we also need water. If it is about electricity, it affects us. If it is about economic issues, as they went to Senchi, raised the issue and they apologize. But the apologies are becoming too many. You are involved. Let us also be part of the discussion.
Folks, as I said, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Thanks for watching.
Okay.